Hi, everyone. Welcome to, or welcome back. Unbelievably delayed response by Kyle Hatley. Welcome to the Homespun Yak, or welcome back to the Homespun Yak. This episode, it will be televised, unlike last week's episode for Thanksgiving, which actually segues right into a good topic that I'm interested to hear how Kyle's infection of his family members went. How'd it go, Kyle?
Well, infection rate was 100%. That's what we wanted, what we planned for.
Yeah.
Infiltrate the family, infiltrate the food, spread it via the food, via the booze. And yeah, everybody's got it. It could or could not still be alive. I don't know. We'll see.
Don't keep up with them. No, of course not. Of course not. There's a guy. Have you ever heard of Dr. Mike?
Dr. Mike?
I know, it's an incredibly generic name, so
I've heard of Dr. Phil.
Okay. No, it's Dr. Mike. Dr. Mike is a YouTuber that has essentially, I mean, he became famous because he's really attractive. He's a really attractive doctor. He's like 27 years old, a young buck, like all the girls, like he somehow got internet famous and all the women were just like, oh my God, he's gorgeous and all this stuff. So he became really famous. And as a doctor, of course, he's been putting out a bunch of information, kind of fun videos about like COVID, right? Like wear a mask, like here's the latest information, socially distant, like all the stuff that you're hearing Fauci say. But obviously Fauci isn't as attractive as Dr. Mike, so nobody cares. But he was actually caught, Dr. Mike was actually just caught on another person's Instagram out in Miami on a boat with
his shirt off.
Yes, with his shirt off.
Oh,
that's the punchline. That's what I'm trying to build up to. No, with like 8 women and like a few of his friends, just like out partying on a boat, just a few days ago, which everybody in his like fan club and whatnot has reported back and said, yeah, we're so disappointed and all this stuff, which. It does speak, like, I find that hilarious that people that are so adamant about, make sure you stick to the rules, all this stuff, and then he gets caught. Like, I mean, I'm sure he would have gotten away with it if he wasn't a complete moron, because he's posing in the pictures with these girls. And what do you think? They're bikini clad women. They're
just gonna hide it.
Yeah, they're gonna hide
their personal phone. Yeah,
exactly. Like, who would do that, right? So yeah, he got caught and now he's in YouTube, social media, jail. And, although people have a short memory and the majority will surely forgive him because he is so attractive and, all that. So who knows how many people he's infected.
And he was preaching safe distancing and wearing a mask and every day. He was big on it.
Oh, he was big. Yeah. Many videos on, wear a mask, don't get together in like groups. His apology video is kind of funny because he's like, I checked the CDC website and, they say no groups greater than 25 outdoors. And I was like, well, we were on a boat and, there were less than 25 of us. It's just like, come on, like, I know that's what the CDC says, but what a bunch of bullshit! Like, I mean, you're literally pressing girls' faces like against yours, and no one's wearing a mask, and he's like giving one woman like a neck correction, and like, are you kidding me? You think I'm gonna like? Oh well, I mean, what's outside? So that makes complete sense.
We were traveling at a fast rate, and the virus.
The COVID just
yeah, when it comes out of your mouth, it has a 2-inch window.
It just flies out. See ya. I just hope nobody's downstream. Wow. Oh,
Dr. Mike. My God.
Got caught. Yep.
Throw him in jail.
Yep. Yeah, so that's the latest COVID news.
Did you give COVID to your family, or did you bring it to the state of North Carolina is the bigger question, and then did you bring it back to Maryland is what we're wanting to know.
Oh, of course, naturally. I did everything in my power to make sure that I could make that possible. Yeah, I brought it to my mom, to my dad, and well, that was
Her dog.
yeah, her new dog. That's right. She has a new dog. So
What's the update on the dog? What's the name, the breed, the temperament?
yeah, so the dog is named Leon, and the temperament. Okay, I don't know what the breed is. I don't know what the breed is.
It's a mixture.
Definitely a mix. Interesting dog, incredibly boring. He's like 9 or 10 years old. He was picked. We got him from a rescue. My mom got him from a rescue, and he is incredibly quiet. Does nothing. Has almost no personality. Like I know I can't train this dog. Like I'm not even gonna try.
He's
he
done.
just stares at you. That's all he does. He just stares at you. That's it. He doesn't do anything else. He loves to go for walks. He's not even that crazy about food. He's not like Shadow was or our previous dog Wilson. Like he just doesn't care about anything. But he loves going for walks. That's it. So he'll go for his walk, and once he's done with that, he's like, okay, let's move on to the next day. And he just stares at you all the time. That's it. Like he doesn't snuggle with you. He doesn't like give you licks or like wants to play with you. He doesn't want to do any of that stuff, which makes him incredibly boring. But he is incredibly cute, I will say. For a 9 to 10-year-old dog, that dog looks like a puppy, and he's really cute. But beyond that, he's not my he's not exactly my cup of tea. I like to train dogs and stuff like that in my capacity.
So Leon, was that his name? He already had that name, or your mom gave him Leon?
So
I can see the latter.
No, okay. So his name. So this is kind of comical. His name on his tag that he was given, like at the shelter, was Leno, Leno. My mom misread the tag for weeks, and had been calling him Leon the entire time. So we just stuck with Leon. Plus, I don't really like Leno that much. Not that I really care about Leon either. But so my mom has stuck with Leon, and that's what we're going
And the
with.
dog doesn't care either way.
Well, the dog doesn't respond to his name, so it doesn't matter whatsoever.
He just knows time to go for a walk.
Oh yeah, he just scratches at the door. Just sits there and scratches at the door. Yeah.
Yeah, my friend Rich has a pit bull like lab mix. Might be a few other things, I don't know. But when they adopted him, Hardy is his name now, but his name when they got him when he was a younger dog was Ice.
Okay.
So I don't know exactly what he was destined to become as Ice, but I can assure you it was much different than Hardy, which is a great dog now.
Yeah.
I'm glad he's Hardy and not Ice.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. We called him Ice because he's cold-blooded. He's gonna fuck some other dogs up.
Yeah, he could have been a Mike Vick type dog.
Actually, that brings up an interesting point. On the Mike Vick situation, for anybody who doesn't know, Mike Vick was involved with the whole dog ring, fighting ring and whatnot, kind of organizing it or just being a player in it.
At his property.
At his property. Do you forgive Mike Vick?
Yeah, I do. Because he was great at football. When you're great at a sport, you're forgiven in the United States.
Yeah.
It just is what it is.
Yeah, that's true.
No, I mean, I don't know. I guess I don't know the full extent of the details, but I do know that I guess they were breeding dogs and raising them to fight, um, and housing them in kennels on his property. I want to say it was in either Virginia or Atlanta, doesn't matter, but
Yeah.
they uncovered a lot of dogs that, you know, those guys had put down themselves or had been killed in fights and just they buried on the property. And then obviously the dogs they did find were, not in the best condition, destined to fight. So they were kind of treated badly their whole lives. So it's tough. I mean, obviously he knew what was going on, even if he didn't like fight dogs personally. I mean, it was on his watch, on his property, and he went to jail for it. So I don't know. I mean, when you look at like where he was raised and grew up, obviously in the projects in Virginia, that was a huge, that was just what people did there. Like in his neighborhood was just fight dogs. And he even said like growing up, like I didn't look at a dog as like a normal kid would look at a dog as a pet or like as a companion. He's like, I looked at a dog as like that thing could make me money or it's just going to fight something. So it was a completely different mentality. And obviously that's not excusing any behavior. It's not a legitimate excuse at all, but based on those things and what he's done since he went to jail and what he continues to do, for animal rights and stuff like that, I would probably forgive him.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's tough. It's really tough. I'm leaning towards fuck him. He can burn in hell. But,
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Like I've only had one real dog in my life, and I'm not saying like that makes me a colder, like not non-dog person, because I
yeah.
love dogs. I just maybe I haven't had a deeper connection to dogs maybe than like I mean you have.
Hmm. Yeah, honestly like the way that you just presented it, it makes a lot of sense. Like I didn't know that he uh, looked at dogs as something other than how other people look at dogs. So
Yeah.
I can kind of get into that psychology. Like I certainly have never thought that way, but I understand how somebody could be raised a certain way to have that psychology. I think it's still a little strange. Like even if I have a pretty extreme fear of something, let's say like spiders or whatnot, which I do.
Which you do.
Yeah, I still like there's still something inside of me that slightly stirs, when like do I have to kill this spider? Do I or
Hmm.
can I like move it outside? And like when I was a kid, I did not have that thought
Yeah, it
process
was
at
dead
all. It was
immediately.
death immediately. Yeah. But now, I mean, I've changed a little bit. And I'm still like not a fan of spiders at all, but I
Yeah.
still have this kind of innate thing inside, or not, maybe not innate, but it's kind of grown over time.
Yeah.
And to think that a dog wouldn't get that level of treatment from someone is really foreign. Like I get
Yeah.
the idea, but it's just
I
it's
mean, as a
like,
kid, yeah, like it's one thing, but then to continue, into your
mhm,
adult life as a professional athlete on top of that,
yeah,
you would think that you would, I don't know, just be more mindful of like, I can't be doing this now that I'm like an international superstar. Like he was on top of
that's
the
true.
world at that point
Yeah,
as well.
yeah. Oh, he definitely was. That's true. I would, I mean, I would take it like multiple steps further and just say like, well, it doesn't even matter who you are. I find it a strange concept to be like, hey, Mike, we're gonna sit down with you and we're gonna teach you. We're gonna teach you that dogs can be our friends. And you don't have to kill them. You don't have to torture them. And he's like, huh, oh, I never thought about it that way. Like, what? Like, that is such a foreign concept for me, to be taught not to torture an animal. Like, that just doesn't compute in my head. No matter, like, I mean, so I'm kind of torn. I'm like between this situation of like, yeah, I want to forgive him and I want to say, hey, like, I understand your mentality back then, like based on how you described it, that makes some sense to me. But on the other hand, I'm thinking like, why doesn't anybody have to be taught not to look at an animal that is like, I've seen dogs like cry or like be extremely upset, and like they're like trying to care and they're trying to do the right, they're just being these incredible companions. And your thought is, I'm going to starve this dog. I'm going to shock this dog. I'm going to torture this dog, and then I'm going to send it in. Exactly. And have it try and kill other dogs. Like, that's just, I don't understand how counseling or anything like penetrates. What the cynical side of me is saying, what actually happened is he went to jail. He realized, oh shit, I might actually be culpable for this. And also on the flip side, people are going to hate me because of this. So I had better change so that I can live a better life. Like, so I can live and sure, there's still going to be a pocket of people, potentially myself included, that's just like, fuck that dude, no matter what. Yeah. But like, you're at least going to offset a good amount of people. So there's a cynical side of me that's just saying like, that dude, I don't know if he really learned. He's just like, I can't do this anymore. So I'm gonna do it the other. Exactly. Like, the social pressure is what crushed him, not necessarily the moral aspect of it that crushed him.
Well, I know that ESPN recently did a 30 for 30 on Mike Vick. I think it's like a 2-part one. And it definitely goes pretty deep into that. And, he addresses it on there, and, he admits like, I realize I'm never going to gain the respect of everyone back, but I have to continue to try. And he's done a ton of, charity work and speeches across the country and in areas that might be more susceptible to those types of actions, and, just trying to spread the awareness that that's bad. And that seems kind of crazy, because it just seems natural to us to be like, of course it's bad. But I don't know. I mean, he seemed very genuine and apologetic, and still like very remorseful about his involvement in it. But yeah, it's interesting to see what, what things people are forgiven for in society and what things people are really not. And that's certainly one that, I understand that there's no coming back from that in a lot of people's eyes. Unless you're the Eagles and you're like, we'll take him. As soon as he gets out of jail, we'll take him. Yeah. We used to have a jail in our stadium, so we'll take this guy.
Yeah. Well, like you said, I mean, he's a sports player, so, and he's a good sports player, so people are like, but I mean, we can maybe like, honestly, if Hernandez had somehow like gotten out of jail, I still think some team would have been like, I mean, we could give it a shot, but he's under strict watch. We'll watch him. Deal. Yeah, 1 year deal. Exactly. We are not taking any chances here, folks.
Aaron, have you changed? Yes.
He is in counseling. And this is like
24-hour watch. Trust us, it's fine.
Yeah, exactly. He's not killing anyone else.
Yeah. No more deaths. Yeah, well, it's like Maradona, I mean, who just passed away.
Oh, yeah.
Recently. I mean, he won a World Cup for Argentina, and won the European Championship for Napoli, which was at that time one of the poorest cities in all of Europe.
Mhm.
And it's basically a god in Napoli today. I would not be surprised if he becomes like a saint in that area and people pray to him. But,
Mhm.
he's done many things off the pitch that are, some would call reprehensible behavior. Um, Prostitution involvements and cocaine, alcohol abuse, potentially physical abuse toward other people, towards women, but the guy won a World Cup for Argentina, so he'll forever be, an idol, a legend, and he transcends like, a lot of other things. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it is interesting. The more you achieve as a pro, the more people will sort of overlook things to a certain extent. I mean, with Michael Jordan, like the gambling and all that kind of weird stuff that was going on during his career, people are like, nah, no, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
It's it's really, it just comes down to how good are you? Can you kick the ball into the hoop? And if you can, then well done. You have a free
Yeah,
pass
yeah,
just
pass.
short of of murder that
Yeah, exactly. And
people
even
people
O.J. Simpson, I mean, he's he's out of jail. I don't know. He didn't really go to jail for that. He went to
nope.
jail because of stealing his own stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. It's a wild, maybe double standard. I don't know what you would call it, but it's an interesting thing to think about. I mean, they had a 3-day like national mourning in Argentina where like for Maradona, just like 3 days we're shutting the country down. So it's hard to put somebody like that into perspective here. But yeah, I don't know.
Do
I
the,
don't really know who you could compare him to.
here? I mean, I guess I would probably say like maybe Michael Jordan uh or maybe LeBron by the end. I don't know. I mean, like Kobe was huge, but I don't think he was as big as Maradona. Um,
No.
and but then again, like Michael Jordan, like Maradona, and you know so much more than I do about this, because I texted you about him, and I let you know that
Yeah, you
he had
shared the
passed
news.
away, and Brazil was really upset. Yeah. but but Maradona like played for that small town, and then of course also played for this massive countries. And I mean, is that really anything that's comparable in the United States? Like, what's the big sport in the United States? Like football and basketball is rising, but like it's basically football. But it's not like we play football against like all these other countries. So you don't. It's just like it's self-limiting. Like soccer, like real football is so diverse. It's all over the place that it's just so powerful, and it has such a prestige about it that
Yeah.
American football just will never have until other countries have other football teams. Which, let's be real, we're going to crush them the moment that they
Pretty
have one.
easily.
So
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's an international superstar and he really contributed to just the prestige and the joy that so many people had watching the sport.
mm,
Um, I would say, Pele was maybe the first big superstar in international soccer, but then Maradona was, you know, burst on the scene and um, I don't know. In my opinion, he was a way better player than Pele, but it was a different time period, and um, I don't know. It was the early days of like he didn't have really anybody that he could look at to emulate as far as trying to handle such massive success and such massive pressure on one person based on their skill level and such massive fame. I mean, it's just, there was no blueprint for him to know how to handle that. And like so many people looked at him and how he handled it and probably handled their fame a lot better, like Messi and Ronaldo, Neymar, people like that are on an international level of fame. So he paved the way in a lot of different ways, not just the style of play that he had, but yeah, how people interact with fans and, you know, just the media and everything. Was uncharted waters, so it's no surprise that he fell into temptation with, you know, the mafia in Italy. I mean, he was very well connected because it was in southern Italy, so that's where the mafia is, southern Italy, Sicily. And once he moved to Napoli, they got their hands all over him and got him whatever he wanted. And they're like, well, now you got to do us a favor or two every now and again. So it
Kick
was
the ball in the hoop. Just do it for me. Do it for grandpapa.
And he did, and he won them a lot of trophies. And but it definitely came at a price, both physical and mental, with abuse, drug abuse and addiction that he pretty much dealt with till the day he died.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, Messi, there wouldn't be a Leo Messi without Maradona. I mean, that's why he took the number 10. I don't know. He might have been, but there would be no, Argentina wouldn't have won a World Cup. You know, they would have gotten their inspiration for that particular style of play from someone else. I mean, it wouldn't have even existed. He wore the
what
number
is that
10
style
shirt.
of play?
Well, Maradona was more like, if you look at how Messi plays, he's extremely fast, quick, agile, and a very low center of gravity, which helped him a lot, and it makes up tremendously for your size. I mean, if you can have a really well balanced low center of gravity, you can maneuver, you can basically have a lot more quick and agile control in a very small space. And Maradona's dribbling was his touch on the ball, his dribbling skills, his ability to play with both feet, not just like be very one-sided, one-dimensional. He always looked for, I don't know, he just was one step ahead of everyone, would make the right pass at the right time, and would lead to a lot of assists. And Messi, I see a lot of similarities in that particular style. And he's even said that, you know, he idolized him, as every Argentinian kid did since his existence. And yeah, he even said himself he'll never be as good as Maradona. I mean, that's certainly debatable. But Maradona will always be number one, I think, in the hearts of Argentinians, because he did bring them a World Cup pretty much single-handedly. And in that World Cup, he has like one of the greatest goals that you'll ever see anywhere. And then the famous Hand of God goal, which he went up for it was like a 50-50 ball in the box, and the keeper for England went to clear it, and Maradona jumped up and hit it with his hand, and it went in. But like in real time, it's like, oh, did he head that in? Like, how did the keeper not punch that away from a 5'6" Argentinian man jumping up?
Yeah.
And then And then on closer, I mean, there's a picture of a freeze frame of the ball right on his hand, and he's just like, I don't know, it was the hand of God, you know. And it was like he was a very like flamboyant and like just a wild personality, like extremely opinionated and like flashy and insanely passionate about soccer. I mean, in which you don't really see that anymore today with a lot of players. It's more of an old school thing. So there's so many elements that made Maradona a once in a lifetime sort of athlete. But yeah, the hand of God, he said. That's what it was. And they didn't have replay then, so they're just like, it's a goal. You're good.
Yeah, I'm sure the other team was really happy.
Well, it was England, and a guy,
Oh, then never mind. Who
striker.
cares?
The striker for England, he did a tribute to him, and yeah, he talked about like that goal, and he was like, I mean, we were probably going to lose that game anyway, but you know, like he wasn't even mad. It's like, that's how much people respected him. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, wow. Yeah, to be able to drag a team through the World Cup and win it.
Yeah.
I mean,
by himself, pretty much.
That's the big thing that Messi doesn't have, right?
The World Cup, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he got to the final, but Germany in 2010.
Yeah, that's too bad.
It's a shame.
Yeah, truly. Do they know what killed Maradona? I briefly looked into
arrest.
It.
Because a few weeks prior, he had to have emergency brain surgery. And then, yeah, he just, I don't know if it was related, but, you know, he had always struggled with weight and alcohol and cocaine. So that will do it in the end.
Yeah. Well, that sucks.
Yep.
Yeah, my mom was really surprised too, because I mean, he was younger than she is.
Yeah, he had just turned 60.
Yeah. How fragile life is, folks.
Hug your loved ones, everyone.
Yeah. And don't do cocaine, weed, and booze. And
yeah, drink water.
Drink water.
Exercise, stretch at night.
Stretch at night.
Speaking of the fragility of life, an Iranian nuclear physicist was murdered in cold blood just days ago.
BBC reporter Kyle Hatley. What news do you have for us, Kyle?
Well, a scientist, I don't know if you've seen this or not. Have you seen this?
Briefly. Briefly, yeah.
I can't recall his name. I'm sure I would butcher the name, as it is Iranian.
I was going to make up a name, but now that's culturally insensitive. Yeah, exactly. I was thinking exactly that.
Yeah, I was actually going to make up a name as well. I was going to say Frank Smith. What were you going to say?
Yeah, that's pretty similar to what I was saying.
Okay. I don't know why you're worried. Iran believes Israel and an exiled opposition group used a remote control weapon to shoot dead top nuclear scientist Mohsen Fakhrizadeh.
Okay.
And he was very instrumental in sort of getting nuclear research and exploring nuclear energy and potentially weapons in Iran in the early 90s. And someone. I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was an accident.
Oh yeah, just their RC car that was strapped with a stick of dynamite, just just rolls under his legs. The fuse is just, and then he looks down, like, what the fuck? Boom.
Yes. Let's see. Yeah, so basically what happened, so he played a crucial role in Iran's nuclear program in the early 2000s. But the government insists the nuclear activities are entirely peaceful. Okay? They insist.
They insist. It has been a peaceful region.
Oh, well, yeah, historically, I don't know anything more peaceful than the Fertile Crescent.
Yeah.
Mesopotamia.
Mesopotamia. Babylonia.
Yeah, the Persian Empire. It appears that he was mortally wounded when his car was sprayed with bullets. A bomb also in a Nissan pickup truck went off as well.
All of this by accident, by the way.
All of this was special effects gone wrong. And there was a gunfight afterwards. Apparently 4 people got shot. The
all
Iranian
of them wearing
media,
Israeli patches.
Yeah, exactly. Just straight up framed. I don't know. I mean, that's what they believe. It was either the Mossad or it was the Mujahideen. Which tell us about the Mujahideen?
Yeah, right. Sure, this isn't putting me on the spot.
What was your previous question? You were going to ask a question.
Well, I was going to mention from the tiny bit that I heard about it is that Israel has kept mum about this situation and has not denied anything. So
they won't comment. They want to respect the dead. They don't want to say anything at all. So not one word.
No.
Let's see. Yeah, he's killed by a remote-controlled machine gun that was controlled by satellite.
And what countries in that region might have that kind of technology? I don't know.
I don't know who would want to do something. There's no one who's enemies to one another. It seems, I don't know. It seems strange to me. This was a very complex mission using electronic equipment, he said.
As opposed to...
Yeah, I don't know. Crude tools. Yeah, it was either the Mujahideen, they say, or the Mossad, which is Israel's like CIA or MI6 equivalent.
Right, yeah. Yeah. There's so much that goes on in that region that I don't even have the beginnings of an understanding of all the different strife and all the different ways that people have been insulted and the amount of hatred that is passed on from one group to the other.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So, but it does make me wonder, like, why they would want to kill him if he made nuclear weapons in the 90s, why they're now interested in offing him, if that is truly the case.
I don't know. I think they just... So recently, there's this Iranian nuclear arms deal that Trump left almost immediately, as well as the Paris Climate Accord. And I think it's like it allows them to have like nuclear power, but it makes sure like they agree to like only create so much uranium, like a certain amount, and then like recently UN people went in there and they're like, this is like 20 times the amount that we said that you guys could have.
Oh, and then
So
they
like
look at
there's
their
been
little piece of paper and like, oh, that's a zero. Oh, our bad. Our bad.
well, we'll stop here.
Yeah,
We'll
we'll
stop
stop
here.
here.
That's fine. And they probably were like, okay, just don't do it again.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's a lot to unpack with that in itself. But I think like maybe Israel, if they were responsible, was looking at that, and I don't think they're a part of that deal, but being so close to them, and I think they just don't want them to have nuclear power at all because they're afraid that they'll blow up Israel,
Yeah.
and they want to do everything in their power to eliminate any leading intelligentsia or scientists from that country. Apparently, several top scientists from Iran have been assassinated like throughout the years because of stuff like this, where they're like pretty close to developing like weapons. A lot of people feel like, and they're like, we need to infiltrate this area and just kill their smartest people, essentially.
Yeah. And Israel has nuclear weapons, I'm assuming.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, of course.
they can have them, but
Yeah, they can
Iran
have
can't
them. The United States can have them. France can have them. Germany can have them. England can have them.
Russia can have them.
Russia can have them. Well, that's just by de facto, by the fact that they're too powerful for anybody to say anything. But Iran, why don't you guys hold off, see how how it feels,
Yeah,
and we'll revisit
Yeah.
the issue. We'll come to the table together and negotiate for you what you actually want.
yeah. Well, why don't we experiment together with nuclear energy for, powering like, a gas station or something. Let's try something small first, guys. You really don't want this.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, you don't want it.
I'm telling you. Yeah,
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like over the years, Iran has been pretty clear about what they would do if they had them. But I don't know if the current regime is like, we're trying to make weapons and yeah, we're going to use them. Yeah. I don't know what you want me to say. Like, I think that's just what people like immediately assume when they talk about stuff like that, which, yeah, I don't know. It's a complex area, complex issue, but this is what the media in each country are currently saying. Iranian media are focusing on projecting two main messages: the threat of revenge for the scientists' killing. Nice.
peacefully though.
Yeah, so we want revenge, A. And B, warning that Iran should not fall into the trap of what they say are Israel's attempts to escalate tensions over their own nuclear program. So sort of a conflicting message there.
Revenge. But don't do anything that's like,
Yeah.
gonna like
Cooler heads must prevail after we get revenge.
after we get. Yeah, exactly.
Israeli media are highlighting the timing of the attack, with analysts interpreting this as a signal to U.S. President-elect Joe Biden that Israel will not go quietly if he seeks to rejoin the Iran nuclear deal.
Okay.
There's also
What are they
much
going to do?
speculation. I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I feel like that's like such a big issue with every president is like, what's his stance with Israel?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, we're so happy that we created that country.
Oh God, yeah.
It
And
has
now,
not caused problems
no.
for anyone.
And Trump, like they love Trump for Israel because he's huge pro-Israel, and he moved the embassy to Jerusalem or something, and Yeah, and then Saudi Arabia media are reporting the assassination with interest, given the kingdom's opposition to its regional rival's nuclear program. A cartoon in a local newspaper appears to mock the Iranian Guard's capabilities. Will his assassination affect Biden's approach to Iran, is what they're asking.
That'll be interesting. I mean, it seems like every time we have a new president, or really just any of these situations, it's always just a bunch of people growling at one another. And I'm still, I mean, of course, I'm not educated on the topic, so I'm still really confused as to what everybody's, getting in a dick swinging contest over. It seems like stuff that's happened like thousands of years ago is still the source, the bottom line, the foundational source for all of this conflict, which of course you could say that basically for any country. It's just the weirdest thing. And it's something that we've talked about a long time ago on the podcast, talking about how you've got these individuals that are supposed to be responsible for entire countries. But then like when you probably poll the country itself, the people, hey, do you want to go to war? Or do you just want to like get to know these people on the other side? I mean, most people would be like, hey, I'm a pretty reasonable person. let's just get along. It's weird. It's just a weird aspect of humanity that we always have to be trying to get better at killing other people.
Yeah. Because a chunk of dirt was, given to you by your God. Therefore, it's your land. You're the chosen people of this area.
Yeah.
Therefore, we'll blow you up if you try to live on this particular plot of land here.
Yeah. And how long? How long are we actually going to be able to hold off Iran from having nuclear weapons, or some other country from having nuclear weapons? Like,
I know.
I mean,
Pakistan or India.
Eventually it's going to happen.
hasn't.
And then what do we do? I mean, what do we do after that? Like, and then what is that country thinking? Like, okay, we have nuclear weapons. Let's use them. And then they're like, okay, but then we essentially eradicate not just those people over there, but we also completely neutralize that land. So it's just
and
like
ourselves.
Yeah, and ourselves. Like it's just like it really feels like the number and the size of your nuclear weapons are just a symbol of how big and powerful you are. But you can never actually use it unless you have a person in power who's legitimately insane. And that's really just a matter of time before somebody is that insane and gets into power.
Someone who might use a 2,000-year-old book to justify
totally
his actions.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, on top of that, like you just ask people, hey, how cool would it be if you could, like, if you live in your country and we destroyed the people that you hate in that other country with a bomb? Like, that bomb will kill all of them. Like, fuck yeah, that's awesome. But but the stipulation is that country gets to send a bomb and destroy you. So you have about 5 minutes of celebration time, and then you're done. Like your existence no longer exists. And it's not just you, it's everyone else. Everyone you love, everyone else, your entire existence as a country will also disappear. So, and your religion will disappear with your people as well. Like, how many people would actually legitimately sign up for that and be like, this is a good idea. I will vote to do that, as opposed to just kind of continue to dick swing over here and pretend like you're going to do stuff. That's the part that just trips me up. Nuclear weapons are so powerful that they make no sense. They make sense and they also don't make sense because nobody's ever going to use them. And they're also super powerful.
Yeah, well, especially once more than one person has them, like that's why the Cold War, I mean, was cold.
Oh yeah, frigid.
Nothing popped off because everybody knew everybody would be dead. and it's a good incentivize. It's good. It's good. I don't know. It just ensures that as long as you have them, someone else that has them as well won't use them on you, and vice versa.
Right.
It's like a game of chicken.
Yeah.
In a way.
That nobody can ever break out of.
Yeah. It's crazy that we made the first one in 1945, and there's still countries that are like, we want to make it so bad. We still haven't been able to make it. Like, people keep coming in and assassinating all these people that want to make it. They just are like, fuck the deal itself. Like, we're just going to take stuff into our own hands and just kill people before this actually happens. Like, if they're like, if they decide, like, if Joe Biden's like, I want to get back into the deal, and we'll allow them to have stuff, and because they're their own country and they can make their own decisions, blah blah blah. I mean, Israel will just take matters into their own hands.
Oh,
they've been doing it forever.
Yeah.
Like, this article says Iran claims that they've assassinated 4 other nuclear scientists between 2010 and 2012.
What do you do with that? Like, what, as Iran, like, what, like, hey guys, Israel, stop it. Like, stop it.
Israel just goes, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe. They don't even say, no, we didn't, you asshole. Why would we do that? They're just like, I don't know. That's what you want to believe. That's what you want to believe. I don't know what to tell you. That's your problem, man.
Yeah, it's pretty stunning. So I can completely understand how these other countries that don't have the firepower to actually do anything about it, how they get incredibly frustrated constantly, being put in that position. Like, quit killing our people. Like, it's not hard.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird situation, but one that was I saw it and I was just like, good Lord, that is just like, I mean, you could never do that to someone here. Like, I mean, when Trump was just like, yeah, we bombed Iran's like major general like a year ago.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, we just shot him down. We took the shot. We had the shot. We took it. And that's it. I mean, can you imagine if like Iran was like, yeah, well, General Petraeus was off duty, and we got a tip that he was like, I don't know, and in the Hamptons in New York, and we just bombed his vacation home, and we had to do it.
Yeah, we had to do it.
It was right, and then we're just over here, just like, oh, you guys suck, like, like that. It's just so hard to picture it the other way around.
It is.
That's why it's like, geez, I'm always wary of stuff like that. I mean, maybe it prevents more death in the future. I don't know. That's a whole nother.
I think it only delays it. That's the thing. It's never going to stop it completely, because it's only going to delay it. Eventually they're going to have their nuclear weapons, and eventually we won't be able to do this kind of stuff where we just off random people that are key pieces to their programs.
Yep. Well, Moderna has applied for FDA approval in the United States and Europe for their vaccine.
Oh, really? That's one of my classmates got vaccinated with Moderna vaccine during the clinical trials.
Did he grow a third arm as well?
He did, and a fourth and a fifth.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, right out of his forehead.
Man.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have COVID.
But no, he doesn't have COVID, so it works for sure. They're doing the trials here, at least part of them in Baltimore. So, yeah, it's just a matter of time. I'll probably get a few people together, and we'll ransack one of the trucks. We'll stop it in the middle of the road and just grab as many.
Batman. dark night
vaccine.
scenario.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And then just inject myself like 10 times and then
Just to
sell
be
the
safe.
rest. Obviously, I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
capitalism, right? Sell the rest for a
you could
massive
flip it for
profit,
yeah,
like
black market.
$1,000 a vial or something. I mean, pretty generous. Like people, I don't want to like
Yeah,
bankrupt people, but yeah,
you know, you got to pay up.
yeah, you gotta pay up. Like I didn't
You
go
got
through
to
all
pay
this trouble
up.
for nothing.
Yeah, you want to live, you got to pay up.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah, that's just the thing is like the whole it's one thing to create the vaccine and then to get it approved, which is, you know, an insane process in itself. But then comes the logistics of distribution, which
Hmm.
is going to be quite something to
Oh yeah.
behold
Oh yeah.
because just the sheer volume that they have to produce, A, and B, how they're going to get it safely to every area of the country and the world. I
Hmm.
mean, because this is like temperature regulated stuff, right?
Yeah.
I mean, negative 93 Fahrenheit. Um, is the one for Pfizer that has
Yeah.
to be
Pfizer.
stored at,
Right.
um, which is kind of crazy. I mean, the amount of money that you have to spend just on storage alone is probably in the billions.
Sure.
Um, I actually toured a facility in Cary, um, who they're all they do is um, provide storage space and refrigeration space for pharmaceutical companies that don't have their own space to store whatever they have, whatever medicine or ingredient that they're making or developing, or just need a place to store it.
Yeah.
And the guys, like, I mean, it's hundreds of millions of dollars of product, of inventory at any given time, sometimes up to $1 billion, like in this tiny room right here. And it was just like all these massive refrigerators and like labeled with a bunch of things. And they showed me like they have generators, and then they have backup generators, and somebody's on call like 24/7 in case like there's like an outage for some reason or something happens. And it's wild. It's wild. So I mean, it's just the storage, and then how you're going to get it safely to all these places all over the country. I mean, it's really like it's going to take a lot of careful planning and logistics
Yeah.
to
For
do
sure.
it.
For sure. And then of course you have to actually convince people to take it, because I've already seen
Yeah.
a lot of people say they're not going to take it.
Yeah. Well, you're looking at a guy.
Wow.
No, I'm kidding.
Wow.
I'm kidding. But um, I mean, what are the I mean, I'm not like scared to take the vaccine. I mean, I think obviously it's a good thing to get everything back on track, and especially if it's an effective vaccine. I mean, I would prefer that older people have priority first.
Mhm.
Um, but I'm just curious, like, you know, is there a potential in your eyes that like getting this vaccine will this be an annual thing? COVID, just like flu.
Uh, it could be, because it's the same type of virus, as in like flu is influenza, but COVID is coronavirus, but they're both RNA-based viruses. So technically, they have the highest level of mutation ability. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible that we'll end up in a situation where every year or every couple of years we have to get a new virus or new vaccine. But um, also, one of the benefits of the flu vaccine is if you get it, not even every year, but you get it every once in a while, you'll have some level of marginal protection, because of the fact that there's still going to be some level of similarity. It also depends on the site of the vaccine. So where they're producing what's called the antigen. So the antigen is the section of the virus that will be recognized by the body and therefore will lead to this immune response. If they picked a site that does not mutate easily, then, and there could be a number of reasons why it doesn't, I'm not going to go into them, but if it doesn't mutate easily, then that means that would be a more stable section, and therefore you may not need to get a virus every year. I'm assuming that with the flu, they don't have as many of those regions as they might with the coronavirus. So who knows? We'll see. But I mean, either way, like getting that first dose of a vaccine, like getting that first vaccine in general, is going to help tremendously in terms of allowing people to live their life normally again.
Mm-hmm. And what would you say that getting the vaccine for a healthy young person, would you say that is, would you say the benefits of that are greater than the potential negative effects of like having a cough for one day, getting COVID, or experiencing minor symptoms or being asymptomatic?
Yeah, I'd say so. Mainly because
that's not the case all the time, obviously.
Right.
But I mean, obviously, when you're younger, you don't seem to be affected by it as much as you would be if you're older.
Yeah, that's true. And I think obviously for the vast majority of people, everything's going to be fine. Up to the data that we have, that's the problem, that we don't actually know what the long-term effects are. So people can say, "Oh, I recovered from COVID. I didn't even know I had it," and then like 3 years from now, they start suffering migraines because they have some residual effect or something like that. There's whatever effect could happen many years later. I mean, the likelihood is pretty low of that, but at least with me, with a novel virus, I would want to get vaccinated just so that I feel like I have some level of protection against it. And I mean, the vaccine is also, it's not a virus. Like you're only getting a small piece, and it's not even like the virus itself. It's an RNA. I believe it's an RNA vaccine, just like the virus is as well. So you're not getting the actual virus. You're just getting a piece of the template of the virus. So I think it'll be perfectly fine. That's not to say, and I'm sure we're going to see headlines for this kind of stuff. I'm sure there's going to be like one person in Seattle that took the vaccine.
On the front page.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
It's like the newspaper in Harry Potter where it's animated.
Oh yeah, exactly.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure there's going to be a few cases because like you're talking about vaccinating billions of people in total. So the odds that some micro fraction of people might have adverse effects to a vaccine is almost guaranteed. The question with a vaccine is, what is the risk to you? And the safety has to be really high. And those side effects can be something, relatively minor, like, you got a sore arm or you have a rash for like a week or something like that, But you're going to have people that are going to, I don't know, they're going to go blind, or, you know, something pretty severe. And it's like that one person in like 100 million. And you know there's going to be an article written about that person. And everybody that's anti-vax is just going to be like, see?
QAnon.
Yeah, exactly. Although the statistics, like, it's just remarkable. People focus so much on an anecdote, and then they make that seem like that's...
They run with it.
Oh, yeah, they run with it. So.
Yeah, I mean, I've wondered what are the potential negative side effects of, you know, just any vaccine. And I mean, I really can't nail down anything that's like, this is a common thing that could happen to a lot of people if you take the flu vaccine, or if you take this vaccine, like, just like I feel like that's something that your doctor would tell you before he's like, hey, have you taken your flu shot yet? And you're like, no. He's like, well, might as well take it since you're here.
Yeah.
However, I just want to warn you, like, you don't have to. And, you know, one person lost feeling in their left leg and never regained it again. That was just hours ago. So let me get Nurse Jackie in here to help you out and give you a shot. Be on your way. I mean, are they incentivized to give these things out, doctors?
That's a good question. I don't know. I could not tell you. That's a really good question.
It's a question for Alex Jones, maybe.
Oh, totally. Like if doctors truly are incentivized, like they get paid more or something. I mean, one, that's a huge conflict of interest on something like this. I know the pharmaceutical industry does some pretty shady stuff, which I think that's honestly something that probably needs to be cracked down on as well. But I mean, if the government is incentivizing doctors, yes, try and convince as many people to get this vaccine as possible.
And we'll give you a bonus.
We'll give you a bonus, exactly. Then, I mean, that would be completely fucked up. And, you know, that would turn a lot of people off. I mean, that would totally turn a lot of people off. So I really hope that doesn't end up happening. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like it happens in every industry, but...
Totally.
I don't know. Like, you know, I think Purdue Pharma got hit with the OxyContin stuff.
Yep.
I don't know if it was like similar. I don't really know what it was about, but maybe it was just false advertising or something. Or if
I forgot what exactly the details were for that, but it was something to do with OxyContin, and it was deemed like extremely addictive or something like that, and they were like, doctors were just kind of giving it out like it was nothing. And I think the courts ended up ruling that it was Purdue Pharma's fault that so many people, that they were actively responsible for part of the drug issues in the United States, and that they ended up having to pay an ass load of money. I think they went bankrupt.
Billions.
And then the owners of Purdue also personally had to pay a lot of money as well. But I don't think that they went to jail because, you know, rich people. So they don't live under the same laws that mere plebes do.
The bankers in the 2008 housing crisis, and they never went to jail. So it's something that sometimes the most dangerous things are legally sanctioned by the government and by corporations. You know, not just OxyContin, but, you know, like soda industry, sugar, Big Sugar, Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
Things like that. But yeah, I mean, opioids are far and away the number one killer when it comes to drug usage.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, it's pretty stunning, those kinds of statistics. It's things that people don't really think about. They think about kind of the illicit drugs. But yeah.
Yeah, I remember going, like, just before going into surgery this last time for my knee.
Mhm.
Um, they had already injected me with, like, I don't know what you would call it, sedative sort of serum. I don't know. And obviously was feeling pretty loose. And just before they really, the anesthesiologist really just turned it up, um, to knock me out cold, they put two pills in my hand. One was fentanyl, one was oxycontin, and they said, "Take them both now." I swear to God, I will never forget that. Just being like, am I dreaming this or is this real?
Oh my
And I
God.
just couldn't stop. My hand just.
They drugged you up before they see. That's
Oh
the kind
yeah.
of thing. Like that's the kind of thing where you
Was
just got to
that
be like,
necessary?
yeah. A was that necessary, but secondly, like I think that's probably a decision that needs to be made when you're completely sober. You know,
Oh, I know.
before they
Because I
can't
was just
just.
like, I mean, I took it immediately. I mean, I was not in a sober frame of mind, but I do remember being like, fentanyl? Are you? I mean, I thought this was like
Is this the same
illegal
stuff?
for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this is what killed Tom Petty and Prince, two of my musical heroes, and I'm about to just
Kyle
down
threw it
one.
back.
Yeah, hey, a side of OxyContin as well, please.
I'll see you in a moment, Prince.
Yeah, and a nerve block on my entire
Oh
leg.
yeah, yeah.
I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what the point of the drugs were, because I mean, the nerve block doesn't wear off until much later after surgery anyway.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
whatever.
Whatever.
Still
Well,
struggling with addiction now. But my knee's doing a lot better.
oh man. Yeah. Damn, that stuff is pretty powerful.
Yeah, I don't know. I've been pretty lucky to not have an addictive personality, because I've had to
Mm.
now take narcotics twice with two knee surgeries,
Yeah.
and they definitely helped. I mean, I didn't take all of them, but they definitely helped me in very painful, sleepless moments. Um, like there was one point where I just couldn't sleep at all, and I took two, because that's like the first couple days, or like take two at night, like upon the severity of your pain. I just remember taking them and just chewing them immediately.
Holy shit.
And then like 30 minutes later, I'm like, I'm good. I'm good.
Oh
And
man.
it just like in those moments, you're like, man, this stuff is so good, like makes you feel so good that it's terrifying. Like how good it makes you feel. It's an artificial feeling
Yeah.
of like of weightlessness, and
Yeah.
I can definitely see how it can be extremely addicting.
Yeah. Yeah. I've never experienced that before. I had Vicodin once, but that it's I had mono and strep throat at the same time, and the doctor
Whoa.
gave me Vicodin, and I mean that definitely helped.
Yeah.
I couldn't feel anything, which was great, but I don't
Yeah.
I don't think Vicodin is probably nearly as powerful as some of the stuff that you've probably been given, but
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the levels of those drugs. And I mean, they've helped a lot of people too. Like, there's not
sure,
all a bad story behind those drugs. I mean, it's just been a bad, like Purdue informing, the medical professionals with bad information, or saying it's not addictive, or, saying be very careful who you give this to and why you give it out and things like that. Um, the ease of access is definitely not good.
No.
So hopefully that will change. But yeah, like if you have a severe like bronchitis or something like you had, sometimes they'll give people codeine, which is kind of similar derived liquid stuff. And I mean, I was prescribed that once because I had a bad case of that. And I remember being like, well, I'm cured instantly.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm immediately better.
I don't feel anything. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. And it's just kind of weird as well. But
It is.
But yeah, the world of drugs is always never-ending fascination to me.
Yeah. Yeah, as Nine Inch Nails says, you are the perfect drug.
Yep.
And on that note, folks, we know you're addicted to the podcast, just like we're addicted to drugs. But we're going to have to cut you off right here.
It's over for this week.
For this week, yeah. All right. Have a good one, folks. See ya.
Bye.